The company Cycrown asked if I would be willing to do an unboxing and review of one of their all-terrain e-bikes. Headed to my post mailbox now because I got a call yesterday saying, hey, there's this giant package here. We need you to get this out of here. So I said, okay. So I'm heading there right now to do that. I just popped in. They're gonna bring it around back for me. You okay with it being there? It does say on there to make sure you have 2 people. Today I'm looking at a new e-bike. This is from a different brand. If this is your first time on the channel, I have reviewed 2 separate e-bikes. I'm becoming somewhat of an e-bike connoisseur. I've grown to really love the ones that I have. So this is a separate company, and I told them outright that, hey, I've actually reviewed 2 e-bikes before from one brand, and I really love that brand. I take it almost every single day to ride with my son. They're wanting me to take a look at one of their all-terrain e-bikes, and I told them I'm not the most knowledgeable e-bike person. I can only speak from kind of a layman's perspective, but the ones that I do have, I absolutely love. But I said, as long as you're okay with me comparing and contrasting with the bikes that I already know and love, I'm happy to do that. But I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything if I don't think it's as good or this feature isn't as good as the other one. And they were agreeable to that. But also in the spirit of transparency, they sent me this bike for free. They're not paying me for it. But if you decide to purchase your own, you'll get a discount. I will get a small commission, and they'll get a sale. So it's kind of a win-win-win. The first e-bike I put together, having no experience, going from box to ready to ride, took me about 1 hour and 45 minutes or so. When I did the follow-up one, I had some help, but even without having his help, because I was familiar with the way it was kind of assembled, we did that in just shy of 1 hour. So I'm solo again today. I'm gonna be assembling this bike. So I'm hoping and guessing that the assembly will be somewhat similar. But if you're new to the e-bike world and you're just curious about how much manpower, how difficult it is to actually assemble them, this might be a good portion of it for you. The other bikes that came were mostly assembled. I had to assemble the front tire and the brake and then a couple of the other little components. So I don't know how difficult this one will be in comparison to those. Nevertheless, I'm ready to get this thing out of the box and get it assembled. First look here at the front tire hooked in. Let me go ahead and get that out. This thing looks sick. Oh. All right, I mean, this looks pretty straightforward for the most part. Probably the most difficult thing about this will be getting the front tire on, and that shouldn't be too difficult. Close look at the seat here. So what you have to do is when you put this front tire on, you have to line this up with the front brake, adjust this and this as needed. Because when I was spinning it before, you could hear it. It would make an audible noise if it's scratching or hitting against that brake pad. That's what you don't want, because this needs to just be smooth running through. And so this just took me a bit. I just loosened these up just a little bit just so I can adjust that, try it again, see if it's smooth, hitting a little bit, keep adjusting. And that's just unfortunately a necessary evil with this type of thing, because you don't want to be riding with this constantly hitting your front brake. But now we are all good. I had to turn off my fan there in the background because I couldn't hear. And I was like, oh, I'm here in the Florida summer heat, almost winter, or almost fall, but still not fun. I was trying to find where on the pedal is it differentiated between the left and the right one. I couldn't find it, but it is on the top here. I don't even know if you can see it. This is L, the other one says R, just in case you run into that problem too. Now I gotta do my least favorite part and clean up. So that about does it. It took me about 55 minutes, a little less than 1 hour, and most of that is my fault. I spent too much time on the front tire. I thought I maybe did it wrong. I took the tire back off, put it back on. So I wasted a lot of time with that. And I will say that this bike is overall much less labor intensive than the other bike, but it does come at a cost. You'll notice that on the back and on the front, it's missing one of those dirt protector things. Like, this is my other bike, and it's got this piece here that prevents dirt and things from flying up. It doesn't come with one of these grates. It's not a deal breaker, but it is something just to have a mental note about. Note from future Holden here, as I was on the website, they actually offered to include these things for free. I don't know if that's an ongoing promotion or just the baseline for buying this bike. Either way, they didn't send me one, but it looks like you can have it added at no extra cost at the time of me editing this. Now, they do recommend holding off on your first ride until you've charged the battery at 100%. So I'm gonna give it some time and charge up. But in the meantime, I wanna take a look at the front display. It does come with the key that ejects the battery in case you ever need to replace one. Powering this baby up, brand new. Came already at 65%, and that's 5 PAS is your pedal assist. Here's our gear shifters, headlight, which is cool. And on the display, it'll actually pop up there. See, in the top of it there, it's on, off, on. And the throttle is right here. It's actually on the left side. Just touching it just a little bit just to give it some kick. That's gonna take some getting used to for me, because on the other one, it's on the right side. It feels kind of more like a motorcycle. So you kind of go back and it'll rev versus this one, but that's just gonna be getting used to for me having something different. A couple different modes. They did send the tire with some air already in it. It's about 13.5 PSI. The tires themselves take between 5 and 30 PSI, so I'm filling it up to about 25 right now. It's about 15.5 PSI starting out. I'm gonna go ahead and get some sweet cinematic shots, and I'm gonna let it charge, and I'm gonna take it on a ride a little bit later. I have got the bike charged up pretty good. One thing that I'm feeling just right off the bat is that I feel a lot higher up than the other bike that I have. I'm still getting used to the throttle being on the left, but it probably wouldn't be a big deal if I wasn't so used to it being on the right side. Another thing I noticed is that the brakes are really smooth. I noticed on the other bike that even though that they're perfectly operational, they are squeaky, and I just don't have the know-how to get rid of it, but these are very, very smooth, and we're gonna do a little bit more test riding here. But this is so far a lot of fun. We're going about 15 or 16 miles an hour here. I'm also getting used to the torque. So much torque, but it makes for a very smooth ride. I'm going to do a little bit of all-terrain on some of the construction area around here. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I'm going to do it anyways. Whoa. Let's see if I can wipe out on this. Yeah! Which reminds me so much of being a kid. I used to do this kind of stuff all the time. The area I've been riding on is like a prepped road, so I'm trying to find some spots that you might run into more on like an actual excursion, like an off-roading excursion, like this little dip here. Whoa! Oh Lord, whoa. All terrain, baby. All terrain. Ugh. Trying to get that skid move down. Hang on, I'm gonna try it again. Ugh. No, not quite. Let me go again. I got it. Ugh. I'm forcing it. Doesn't look as good. One more. Yeah. This is just like hot rod, isn't it? That's how we do it. Yeah. Cycrown. Top speed I've got is about 20 miles an hour. Found this little wooded area near my house I've never been to. I was like, well, this might be a good spot to show some wooded riding to if you happen to find yourself along a trail. This is like right behind my neighborhood. Some kids, I guess, building a fort. Either that or it's the Blair Witch, I'm not sure. Nice to see these kids getting out nowadays. Brake lights on the back, which is good. Works with front and back. I I wanted to finish off this video with some nitty-gritty differences between this all-terrain and my other all-terrain. So I have a compiled list of various features that may or may not affect your decision on which one to buy. This was not provided to me by Cycrown. I did this research on my own to compare the two, but it's stuff that I would care about as a consumer. And to be honest with you, a lot of it is like the difference between an Android phone or an Apple phone. A lot of the features and specifications are so similar. It's one of those situations where this feature is better on this bike, but that feature is better on that bike, and they're both important. So I'm just gonna let you know what I was able to pull up and kind of where I stand on those things. And there's two fairly big ones in regards to this one that I'm gonna point out in just a second. They're both all-terrain e-bikes, but the other one is a step-through bike, so it doesn't have this bar across. I didn't realize that that was a big deal until I was talking to somebody about the bikes, and it was an older gentleman, and he had some hip issues, so he was looking specifically for a bike that didn't have this because he couldn't do the whole leg over. But just so you know that you can get the same Cycrown model without this, so you can get this in step through as well. So that's kind of a wash. The motor is superior on the other bike than this one. The other motor is about a 1500 to 1800 watt peak. This one's 750 to about a 1500 watt peak. Top speed that they list for Cycrown is 28 miles an hour. I was able to get to 20 miles an hour on throttle alone, but they specify that with pedaling you can hit up to 28 versus the 36.5 miles an hour I was able to get on the other bike with throttle alone. Cycrown has a dual sensor for your torque and cadence versus a speed sensor, making this one superior. For the battery, this Cycrown reigns supreme with a 48 volt, 20 amp hour Samsung cell versus a 48 volt, 17.5 amp hour Samsung cell. The max range, this is from both websites. So the max range on a single charge for Cycrown is about 90 miles versus the 85 miles of the other bike. The suspension, so this is one of those things that I said might be a huge contributor, because I didn't even talk about the 4-link suspension in Cycrown initially, but when I first rode it, I felt a decent difference. But that's really gonna come down to how much off-roading, how much terrain, and how smooth you really want it. I thought that the other bike was more than sufficient for me, but that 4-link suspension does seem to make, at least in my experience, a difference. If it's a big enough difference for you, I'll leave that to you. And then the second thing, now this one might be the game changer and something that I would personally look into. So on the other bike, it's your standard mechanical disc brakes. I mentioned that they were kind of squeaky before because these are the type of brakes that you'll find on your regular bicycle that you'll just buy anywhere. The caveat to that is that somebody mentioned to me in one of the other videos is that I was going 36 miles an hour using mechanical brakes. Now that was primarily just testing out the speed and like the capability of it, but that's still pretty fast for a mechanical brake versus this one, which has hydraulic disc brakes with cutoff. That's huge and might be worth your time getting one of these. I did not realize that difference when we were first trying it out, but I felt it. I even commented on how I felt the difference. And I inadvertently filmed just how effective that was when I was riding around and getting the tires to stop completely. Much smoother, much safer, so that is something to absolutely consider when purchasing one of these bikes. For gearing, this is an 8-speed versus the other one is a 7-speed. Again, that's gonna kind of come down to preference on what you're looking for on your bike. Max payload, this might also be a factor. On Cycrown, it's 330 pounds versus 500 pounds on the other bike. Now that may not be a huge difference for you if you don't weigh that much, but if you're thinking about carrying some cargo or something, if you're going up a trail and you want like a bag or something that has some weight to it, that might be a consideration for you. Your display in both of these bikes, this one is a TFT display, obviously with that app connectivity before. You can use it on both your iOS and your Android. The TFT is a far superior display than your standard LCD display, which is on the other bike. This e-bike comes in at about 84.7 pounds versus around 88 to 90 pounds, but some of the bikes were listed at around 72 pounds. So no matter what you get, they're gonna be fairly heavy. I was looking up some of the details on the torque, like when you're actually, throttling. I couldn't find really a good direct comparison between the two. From what I read, it said that the other bike was superior in torque, but just from my experience, when I was riding this one. I thought this one was actually stronger, but I suppose if you were to look at the differences, the other one is technically superior, but I couldn't tell the difference. As a matter of fact, I thought this one had a little bit more kick. And then the other thing is that this obviously has the app connectivity, which the other bike does not have. It's really cool to be able to see on a map in real time if you get a little phone mount where you're going and the route, basically having like your own maps on there. And then just a ton of data, which I'm always very pro data. I like seeing my battery level. I like knowing how much was depleted after a certain number of time. Distance traveled, total distance traveled. I like all that stuff. So you can definitely do that with the app. It's a free app. So that might be a point on Cycrown. But these are all the main differences. As you can see, there's some positives, some negatives. I think that if you are to go with Cycrown, it is absolutely gonna be worth the purchase. The brake difference would probably be the main selling point for me as a consumer, especially when you're going up to 20 miles an hour plus. You want to be able to have some real stopping power, and this one is superior for sure. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching along. We had a lot of fun assembling the bike, riding the bike, and just goofing off with it a little bit, having a lot of fun. I hope that some of those comparisons will help you. This bike is absolutely worth it. If you are to purchase one, remember you can use my discount code. I'll put on the screen in the description. You'll get a bit of a discount. I will get a commission, and the company will get a sale. So I always like to say it's a win-win-win for all of us. And see what other types of options that they have, because they don't sell just all-terrain bikes. And I should be having another video down the line of a different type of e-bike. So make sure you subscribe so you can stay tuned for that. Thank you so much, Cycrown, for sending this to me. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good time watching me struggle and have some fun, and kind of a more vlog-like experience, except for this last little bit here where we get into the technical nitty-gritty. But I enjoyed having you as my viewer. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, all that normal YouTube stuff. Comment down below, letting me know what you think. For now, that is it. I will catch you in the next video, everyone. Take care.